Sean Hannity sat down for an interview with Donald Trump on Fox News, of course. And I want to walk through some moments. Let me just remind everyone, as I try to do from time to time, this is not normal, okay, acceptable. This is absolutely ridiculous what we're witnessing with Trump and with the GOP and with MAGA and with election lies. And while we're seeing, as I discussed earlier in today's show, steps toward accountability on the attempt to overthrow the election, and that gives me some hope, still we're in a place where the guy who's most likely, by a pretty large margin, going to be the nominee for the president of the United States out of one of the two major parties in the most powerful country on the planet is Donald Trump, and is still pushing. We're in 2023, well into 2023. He's still pushing thoroughly debunked lies about our election process. And that horrifies the world. It should everyone within this country, but especially people outside of it, as I see lots of in the comments from viewers outside of the US. And it is really unfortunate. We'll start with this moment representing what I'm talking about.
Do you now encourage and embrace early and voting by mail, and legal ballot harvesting?
I do, but I also have to say something else, because the one thing a lot of people,
but this is important,
including you, don't talk about, they also create phony ballots, and that's a real problem. That's my opinion. But they create a lot of phony ballots.
Do you now?
So I'm not going to show you a bunch of him because we've seen it so much talking about his false belief that the election was stolen, but there he just can't get off of it. Because the question from Sean Hannity is, Republicans have been speaking out, especially recently, against what they call or what is referred to as ballot harvesting, which is just a third individual, a third party individual taking your ballot to the place. You have to fill it out, you have to seal it, you have to do all the things, but then they can take it, for example, for elderly people from your home if it's hard for you to get out to the polling place, and then turning in the ballot. And that was spoken out against by a lot of the conspiracy theorists. And now there are some within the GOP saying maybe we should just try to make it easier for our voters to vote, and try to just do things that are legal in states. I think some states have, they have outlawed ballot harvesting, but in the states it's legal. We should try to use legal means to allow voters to vote for our party, instead of speaking out against ways that could make it easier for them to vote for us, or mail-in voting generally. And so that was the question. And then Trump is saying, yeah, I do want them to do that, but it's also fraudulent, so just do fraudulent stuff for me. Next moment, he once again portrays his lack of understanding about his own tariffs against China.
Our country, we were respected. 3 years ago, this country was respected, and Putin knew he couldn't do it, and President Xi of China knew he couldn't do it. You know, I gave Iowa and farmers, the farm states, $28 billion from China, $28 billion. That's why I said, I go around, I don't want to be too boisterous on this, because you never know, right? But I said, there's no way I can lose Iowa and Nebraska, any of these states. There's no way, because I gave the farmers $28 billion from China.
So what does he mean he gave the farmers $28 billion? Well, he's referring to tariffs that he put on products coming from China. But as CNN fact-checked, then concluding, Trump's claim about who is paying the tariff money is false. Study after study has found that Americans are bearing the cost of Trump's tariffs on imported Chinese products, because American importers, not Chinese exporters, obviously. How would you enforce it on Chinese exporters? Make the actual tariff payments to the U.S. government. And so it is corporations, and thus the consumers, that are bearing the cost of those types of tariffs. So no, he did not make the farmers $28 billion, even though he repeats time and time again that claim. And I noticed when he said that, Sean Hannity from one of the angles was nodding along. Why? Why not just know? This is going to be crazy what I'm about to say. If your job is presenting information on the news, Fox News, I have a thought. Know things. Just try knowing things about stuff, okay? Just basic things about stuff, and then see how that helps out. Actually, that would probably sink your career at Fox News. And then his weird rant that he cannot stop getting into every single time he can about the president of China, Xi Jinping.
I love you too, I will tell you that. But think of President Xi, central casting, brilliant guy. You know, when I say he's brilliant, everyone says, oh, that's terrible. You call it. Well, he runs 1.4 billion people with an iron fist. Smart, brilliant, everything perfect. There's nobody in Hollywood like this guy. I got them to pay us $28 billion because they screwed our farmers for years. And I had the Secretary of Agriculture come up and I said, give me a number. They said, it's $28 billion. Comes back a week later, it's $28 billion. I said, that's a lot. I said, well, we're going to take it from China. I got $28 billion for the farmers. Who got a check? Did everybody get a check?
Woohoo! Yeah, you didn't do that, but woohoo! Man, I've said it before, but imagine how easy it would be if you didn't care, which I'm glad that I do care about facts, but imagine if you didn't care about facts, how easy it would be to be a politician or a media figure. I've talked about this in reference to, I think it was Hannity and Bober during some recent segment, where the job of someone like Sean Hannity, who is on a larger platform than I am, but does a similar type, presenting information sort of commentary job. And his job must be so ridiculously easy because he can just make up whatever he'd like. Now, I'm glad my job is harder in that sense because I actually, before I say things, make sure that they're accurate. But there, Trump's doing the same thing where he can just go, you know what? You know what would be great? If I got a bunch of farmers money, that would be good for campaigning, right? So instead of trying to see if I did that, and then if I didn't, I won't talk about it, or when he was actually president, trying to actually do that, I'm just going to say I did it, and then people will think it's awesome. And then final moment on his legal troubles in regard to the classified documents case.
Why weren't their homes raided?
Well, let me just tell you,
Pause. Why weren't their homes raided? Of course, he's referring, of course, probably to Biden, Hillary, Obama. Because, well, number one, depending on who you're talking about, but let's focus in on Biden. When he found the small number of classified documents in his possession, turn them over. So what would you ready to do? Why would you be raiding? He allowed them to come look, investigators look at his house after he had turned over the documents, but immediately turned them over. Trump didn't do that. As well as everything else that's being alleged in this indictment.
Protected by Presidential Records Act, and they come up with this obscure, crazy theory, a madman theory. This guy is a deranged prosecutor who's had tremendous failures all over the place. He's a nasty, horrible human being. They come after me. Now Biden has many thousands. I mean, he's got almost 2,000 boxes of documents. They can't get to him because the college or whatever that.
Because they aren't sensitive national defense documents like yours were. Now, sorry, excuse me, guys. Quickly, I didn't touch on this yesterday when we talked about how Trump has been informed that he's the target of the federal investigation into his attempts to overturn the 2020 election. And I just want to update you on this while we're on the subject of Trump. As ABC News reports, the target letter mentions 3 federal statutes: conspiracy to commit offense or to defraud the United States, deprivation of rights under color of law, and tampering with a witness, victim, or an informant. Sources familiar with the matter told ABC News. So that's what he, it seems, is being charged in relation to specifically. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to be a part of what makes this show possible, plus get access to the full video version of the show hours before all the clips are able to be uploaded to the YouTube channel, plus get the bonus show on the weekends, you can do so by going to lukebeasleyshow.com/membership. That's lukebeasleyshow.com/membership, and there's a link in the description.